John chapter 11. Now a certain man named Lazarus was sick. He was of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Maria. It was Mary who had anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair. Lazarus was her brother. Therefore his sister sent to him, saying, Lord, the one you love is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, This sickness is not to death, but for the glory of God, so that the Son of God might be glorified by it. Now Jesus loved Maria and her sister and Lazarus. When he had heard that he was sick, he stayed 2 days in the same place. Then after that he said to his disciples, Let's go into Judea again. His disciples said to him, Master, the Jews just recently tried to stone you, and you want to go there again? Jesus answered, Aren't there 12 hours in the day? If any man walks in the day, he doesn't stumble, because he sees the light of this world. But if a man walks in the night, he stumbles, because there is no light in him. After he had said these things, he said to them, Our friend Lazarus is sleeping, but I am going so that I may awaken him out of his sleep. Then his disciples said, Lord, if he is sleeping, he will be fine. But Jesus was speaking of his death. But they thought that he had spoken of Lazarus taking a nap. Then Jesus said to them plainly, Lazarus is dead. I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, so that you may believe. So let's go to him. Then Thomas, who is called Didymus, said to his fellow disciples, Let's go too, that we may die with him. So when Jesus came, he found that he had been laying in the grave for 4 days already. Now Bethany was close to Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs away. And many of the Jews came to Maria and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. As soon as Maria heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, but Mary sat in the house. Then Maria said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, whatever you ask of God, God will give it to you. Jesus said to her, Your brother shall rise again. Maria said to him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believes in me, though he were dead, he shall live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? She said to him, Yes, you are Lord. I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who would come into the world. And when she had said this, she went her way and secretly called Mary her sister, saying, The Master has come and is calling for you. As soon as she heard that, she got up quickly and came to him. Now Jesus had not yet come into the town, but was in the place where Maria had met him. The Jews who were with her in the house and comforted her, when they saw that Mary got up hastily and went out, followed her, saying, She is going to the grave to weep there. When Mary arrived to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled. And he said, Where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, Look how he loved him. And some of them said, Could not this man who opened the eyes of the blind have prevented this man from dying? Jesus, again groaning in himself, came to the grave. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Jesus said, Take away the stone. Maria, the sister of the dead man, said to him, Lord, by this time he must stink, for he has been dead for 4 days. Jesus said to her, Didn't I say to you that if you would believe, you would see the glory of God? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead man was laid. Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. And I knew that you always hear me. But I said this because of the people who stand nearby, so that they may believe that you sent me." And when he had spoken this, he cried with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come forward!" And Lazarus, who was dead, came forward, bound hand and foot with grave cloths, and his face was bound around with a napkin. Jesus said to them, "Loosen him and let him go." Then many of the Jews who came to Mary and had seen the things which Jesus did believed in him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. Then the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered a council and said, "What shall we do? This man is doing many miracles. If we leave him alone, all men will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation." And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said to them, "You don't know anything at all, or are considering that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, so that the whole nation will not perish." He spoke this not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus should die for that nation, and not for that nation alone, but that he would also unite in one nation the children of God that were scattered abroad. From that day forward they took counsel together with the purpose to put him to death. Jesus therefore no longer walked openly among the Jews, but went to a country near to the wilderness, to a city called Ephraim. And there he continued with his disciples. The Jews' Passover was close at hand, and many went out of the country up to Jerusalem before the Passover to purify themselves. Then they looked for Jesus and spoke among themselves, as they stood in the temple, "Do you think that he won't come to the feast?" Now both the chief priests and the Pharisees had given a commandment that if any man knew where he was, he should inform them, that they might take him.